How to deal with stress. So there's a lot of things happening in the world right now which are inducing fear in a lot of individuals. Fear manifests often as a form of stress or anxiety when it first initially comes through on a mild level. And when you're in stress, you're in something called your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol. We as humans want to live in our parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is rest and digest. Let's look at animals, for example. In the wild, there's a gazelle. The gazelle sees a lion, it goes into fight or flight mode, runs away, right? It goes into fight or flight, it goes into stress, it goes into cortisol, it shifts into its parasympathetic nervous system so it can elicit the correct response and vacate the premises. Runs off. As soon as it gets to safety, it looks around, right, sees no lion, and it relaxes straight back to its sympathetic nervous system. Beautiful, natural, it's how it's supposed to be. We as humans, we no longer need so much, let's say, fear or adrenaline or cortisol. We're not around here walking around seeing lions and dinosaurs and immediate threats. So our subconscious mind has shifted the perspective, and it believes there's still these immediate dangers out there. And so it still elicits the same response as if we're running from a lion. And if we was to go to the wild and see a lion, for example, we would go into fight or flight, either run or get real brave, right? Depending on how savage you are as a human. I've seen some human beings like walking towards a lion. There's a video online, these three men walking towards a lion with this present look in their face, and all the lions run off. There's like 10 lions and they just take the lion's food and leave. It's great. It shows the power of the human mind and potential and power when you're present in the moment and focused on a goal. Other animals just feel it. But we run, we go into fight or flight, we run, right? But when we get to safety, we don't instantly relax back into the sympathetic nervous system. We carry the stress. We stay in survival mode. So we're like, oh my God, a lion just chased me. And we build this trauma of lions, and we hold the memory, associate it, that particular event, to in a massive surge of emotion, and that gets stored and imprinted into the subconscious, which is then called the memory, which we hold on to as a trauma because it's a negative experience. And then we see lions on the TV, we freak out. We just hear about a lion, we freak out. It just triggers that same memory and takes us back to that same place emotionally. And most humans are living in this state of their sympathetic nervous system where different traumatic events have happened and they've gone through different things, and they have stayed in that exact place. They've stayed in that stress and they've carried it forth with them. Now, right now, a lot of this stress is going to be manifesting in individuals as there's all this pain that's happening in the world and all this drama, and also with all of the fear that's happening, and this virus and what's going on in the world and all these different things. That state of fear is going to elicit a lot of stress in a lot of individuals. And so I wanted to talk today about how to reduce stress, how to deal with stress, how to calm oneself. And there's three things that I'm going to mention. There's many things that you can do, but there's three main things that I'm going to mention today. 3 ways to deal with stress, or 3 ways to reduce stress, whatever you want to call it, right? The first one is very important. They're all very important, right? But the first one is what I'm doing right now. One needs to get out into nature. Nature holds a high, extremely high vibrational frequency, which is very close to the frequency which our bodies are naturally supposed to emanate at, right? It's supposed to vibrate at a certain frequency. We're made out of electromagnetic frequencies. We're all electromagnetic beings. And when you come to nature, especially if you take your shoes off and earth yourself, which is putting your feet into grass or earth or whatever the case may be, you integrate, you absorb all of these electromagnetic pulses from nature, and it elevates you and it heals you and it calms you, and it's extremely therapeutic and it's extremely amazing and extremely necessary for day-to-day life and stress anyway. But most individuals don't get enough of nature, and that live in cities and these concrete jungles like myself. I'm in London right now, and it's important for us to come out and connect into nature and calm oneself and relax back into the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's number one, getting into nature. earthing yourself. Number 2, also very important, right? We must move the body. This physical body we're in holds tension and stress in different places, right? Knots, muscle knots. And these muscle knots that we hold on to hold emotion. And when we stretch and we exercise, we release this tension and the energy begins to flow around the body, and it makes it easier for us to sink into our sympathetic nervous system. But also, you release endorphins into the bloodstream, which make you feel happy and make you feel good, because the body wants to encourage exercise. And I'm not just talking about smashing out loads of weights, because that can build more cortisol, the stress hormone, into the body as muscles tear and repair. I'm talking about movement and stretching. You need to stretch the muscles, even if you're doing weights, right? Because I like to do weights. You need to balance it with a lot of yoga and a lot of stretching, especially if you're doing a lot of weights. And so a lot of yoga, like movement and strength, and yoga is difficult, it's strenuous, and you have to stretch out certain muscles. It's not easy, and it's really good to reduce stress and to relax yourself. So if you are exercising, balance in the yoga, make the yoga like 60%, I'd say, especially now there's so much stress and pain going on in the world. And the last thing, which is extremely important and is probably the most effective, is meditation. One must go within oneself and connect to the infinite spiritual beings that we actually are. To do this, we have to get out of our own way. The ego identification is the biggest illness unknown to man. If I believe I'm Charles, this character that lives in, this body, and I believe I'm this body, I believe I'm this character, I believe I'm this Charles, anything that happens to him, or anything that is identified to him, like if I have a watch and I believe, yeah, I'm this guy that has this watch, or I'm this guy that lives in this area, or I'm this man that goes through these experiences, what's going to happen is when these experiences leave, or when I don't have them, my sense of self breaks down. So if I had £1 million and I believe I'm Charles, this millionaire, and I lose the million, who am I? My sense of identification is confused now, and I feel worried and I feel fear, and it's because you're basing your sense of self on something external from yourself, which is tangible and not really truly real. You are an infinite spiritual being, limitless in your expression, and you can accomplish or do anything. And when you connect to yourself, the true self, the spiritual being that you are, and you connect to your higher consciousness, you realize all these material things don't define you. You can enjoy them, you can explore them, you can experience them, but they don't define you or create who you are or your sense of self-worth. A lot of females get their sense of self-worth from the beauty of their external bodies, forgetting that their true self-worth comes from inside, comes from what they are as beings. It doesn't come from, anything else. It doesn't come from the way you look, the handbag that you have, the clothes that you have. Your sense of being is what you are as a spiritual being, not the name that you have and the body you have and the garments that you dress it with. And so by connecting with oneself during meditation, what we can begin to do is disidentify from the ego, connect to the spiritual being, connect to God, connect to source, connect to the universe, and it calms one, it alleviates stress, it brings one into the present moment. You begin to forget all of the past stressful events which create the version of you now, and you begin to stop focusing on the predicted future, which is based on the same stressful events of the past. You center yourself in the moment. It frees up energy for you to relax, it frees up energy for you to heal, and it also frees up energy for you to then connect to creating a new potential future, which is on a higher frequency and filled in love, abundance, and happiness. So those are the 3 ways to deal with stress, 3 ways to relieve stress. And I highly suggest that you jump on that ASAP, This is the time to start relaxing oneself, not the time to stress oneself out by watching all the news. I'm not even watching the news right now. It's a joke thing. It's a joke thing. But let me not get into that too much, because my purpose is teaching elevation. I don't want to focus on the problem. So yeah, peace and love. I love you all. I hope that all helped. I hope everyone's having a beautiful, sexy, strong, productive day. Mwah. My heart lies with you in these troubling times.